Once there was a man named John. He lived in a village with his wife, Juliana, and their son, Archie. They loved Archie very much. He was in 5th grade. They had a servant named Robert. He cleaned the house, bought groceries, and did all the chores. He also took care of Archie. He dropped him at school and picked him up. Robert lived in a small room outside. However, Archie didn't like him and often treated him badly. Juliana and John advised him to behave well, but he never listened. One Sunday, Archie sat in the lounge, doing his homework. Juliana was in the kitchen. Robert came and started sweeping. Archie smiled. He took out his sharpener and started sharpening his pencil. As soon as Robert cleaned near him, Archie quickly tossed the pencil shavings on the floor.
Robert,
he called. Robert stopped and turned.
Yes, little master.
Archie pointed at the mess.
clean it. Didn't you see?
Robert sighed but nodded. He bent down and started cleaning. Just then, Juliana came in. She saw everything and frowned.
Archie, why did you throw that on the floor?
Archie lowered his eyes.
Sorry, Mom.
He said slowly. Juliana said,
Come to the kitchen. I made sandwiches, fries, and chocolate milkshake for you.
Archie's face lit up.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
He jumped up and ran after her. Robert watched them go. He sighed in relief and got busy again. Early in the morning, Archie sat at the table, eating breakfast.
Eat quickly. You are getting late,
John said. Archie said,
Dad, I don't want to go with Robert.
John glanced at him.
Why not?
Archie hesitated.
My classmates laugh at me. They say I'm still a kid.
John said,
Well, you are. Now finish up and go.
But Dad,
No more talking.
John said firmly. Archie sighed, pushed his chair back, and went to grab his bag. Juliana, who had been listening, shook her head. She placed a cup of tea in front of John and sat down. Robert was washing the backyard when he noticed Archie climbing onto the well's edge.
Little master, please come down. You might slip.
Robert warned. Archie leaned forward.
I just want to see how much water is inside.
There's plenty of water. Please come down.
Robert pleaded. But Archie didn't listen. As he leaned further, he lost his balance and fell in. Robert shouted.
Oh no!
He rushed to the well and looked inside. Archie was struggling in the water.
I have to save him.
Robert thought. He grabbed the rope and jumped in, even though he couldn't swim. Archie clung to him tightly.
Help!
Robert shouted. Juliana heard the noise and ran outside.
Oh no!
She saw them inside the well and rushed to get help. Within moments, she returned with neighbors. They grabbed the rope and pulled both of them out safely. A neighbor ran to John and told him everything. John rushed home. He saw Robert, drenched and shivering. Without a word, he pulled him into a tight hug.
You saved my son. From now on, you are my little brother.
Archie stepped forward, shivering and dripping wet. His eyes were filled with guilt.
Robert, uncle. You are great. I always troubled you, but you still saved me.
Robert smiled.
I only did my duty. Little master.
Juliana wiped her tears.
No, Robert. You are family now, our brother.
One evening, as they sipped tea, Robert came hesitantly.
Master. I got a letter from my parents. They found a girl for me. My wedding is next month. I need a week's leave.
Juliana smiled. Archie shouted with joy.
Congrats! Uncle!
John set down his cup.
Congratulations. Robert, you can take a month.
Robert smiled.
Thank you, Master.
Before he left, Juliana handed him gifts for his wife.
These are for her. And you.
Robert bowed slightly.
Thank you.
Then he headed to his village. After a month, Robert returned, beaming with joy. Soon, he received wonderful news. He was going to be a father. John and Juliana congratulated him.
That's great news. Robert,
John said, when his wife's due date arrived. John said,
you can go.
Robert shook his head.
Thank you, Master. I will go after to see my baby.
Juliana insisted.
You should go.
But Robert gently refused. One afternoon, Juliana went to visit her sister with Archie. John was resting. Robert received a letter. His hands trembled as he read it.
Dear son, your baby boy was born, but sadly he did not survive.
Robert sat on the stairs, tears streaming down his face. He cried until he fell asleep there. Later, John woke up and came downstairs. He saw Robert sleeping. The letter still in his hand, dried tears on his face. John read the letter and sighed. Then he brought a hand fan and gently fanned him. Just then, John's friend arrived and frowned.
You are serving your servant?
John looked at him.
My father was a servant too. One day, he fainted on the road, and a kind man helped him. I see my father in Robert, and he saved my son's life. We should never forget humanity.